160. Does it refresh your recollection with respect to this incident? Yes, it does. Did you issue a citation to the driver? Yes, I did. Was anyone in the automobile with him? There was one passenger. Was that person a man or a woman? A man. Did you speak to the passenger? I tried to, but he couldn't speak. Did you discover why this gentleman couldn't speak? I certainly did. He had a plastic bag in his mouth. I ordered him to remove it, and he complied. Did you carefully examine the plastic bag at that time? That is correct. What did it contain? There were hidden 13 clear vials, each containing white powder. I'm showing you a group exhibit. The clerk has labeled it States Exhibit number 1. Can you identify that exhibit? These are the vials that I took from the passenger. By the way, is the passenger in the courtroom this morning? Yes, sir. Where is he sitting and what is he wearing? He is sitting at the defendant's table with his attorney and he is wearing a yellow shirt. Okay, when you took those vials from the defendant, did you see anything unusual about them? Yes, I did. What did you see, officer? A couple of vials had teeth marks on them. What did you do after you recovered those 13 vials? I placed the defendant under arrest. What did you do after you placed him under arrest? I performed a custodial search. Was he carrying a gun? No, he was not. What did you find in your custodial search? I found 3 more vials. I'm showing you a clear plastic container, which the clerk has labeled as States Exhibit number 2. It contains 3 vials. Can you identify those items, officer? They appear to be the vials that I took from the defendant. Are they in the same condition now? No, they are not. The white powder that is on the outside was actually in the inside the vials when I recovered them from the defendant. What happened after you conducted the custodial search? I looked inside the vehicle. What did you see there? I observed a paper bag lying in the middle of the front seat. Was the paper bag open or closed? It was open and in plain view. Could you see what was inside? It contained a quantity of United States currency. I could also observe a plastic bag. I subsequently found out that the plastic bag contained 9 more vials of white powder. I'm showing you another group exhibit. The clerk has marked it States Exhibit number 3. Could you look inside that bag and identify those things? They appear to be the vials. Did you count them? State your name and occupation. My name is Mark Hill and I am employed by the Sheriff's Department. What is your position with the Sheriff's Department? I am an investigator. What is your rank? At the present time, I hold the rank of sergeant. How long have you been working for the Sheriff's Department? I have been working for the Sheriff's Department for 18 years. Sergeant, did you have a conversation with a woman whose name is Dawn Page? I spoke to her a day or two after the incident in question. Did you initiate the contact or did she? I believe she telephoned the department. Do you know when she called? That would have been April 22. What happened after she telephoned? I went over and talked to her. She informed me that on the previous Monday, she and another young woman were in the shopping mall and that a person had been following them. They started noticing him wherever they went. When they would come out of an establishment, he was waiting for them. She believed that he matched the description of a person the sheriff's department was looking for. Did she describe this person to you? She described him as having long hair and wearing a leather jacket. Did you take a written statement from this woman? I did not take a statement that day. Was there some reason for not taking a statement? There was no particular reason, no. I assume that you did not show her an array of photographs at that meeting, not at that time. Okay, did you meet with her subsequently? I telephoned the house and said I had several photographs I wanted her to examine. Do you remember when that subsequent meeting took place? That would have been April 29. What prompted that second meeting? Some new evidence came to our attention in the case, and we had a suspect. Did you have the suspect in custody? Yes, we did. Is that man the defendant in this case? Yes, he is. What happened at this meeting? I took a photographic lineup over to her house. I wanted to see whether she could identify the person who had followed her in the shopping mall. Were you the person who put the photographic lineup together? No, sir. Who was that person? It was my lieutenant. Is it true that the defendant's picture had appeared in the newspaper before you had the second meeting? His picture appeared in the paper, but I don't know when. Describe your meeting with Dawn Page on April 29. I went to her parents' residence and spoke to her there. At that time, I produced a photographic lineup. What did you say before you showed her the pictures? I asked her to carefully inspect all the pictures and to tell me whether or not anyone in that array looked like the man who had followed her in the shopping mall. Did you in any way indicate that the defendant's picture was in that array? Absolutely not. I made no mention of that whatsoever. Were these photographs identified in some manner? Each picture had a number. I told her that if she saw the person, she should point to him and give me the number of the picture. Did she have any questions when you gave her those instructions? No, she didn't. How many photographs did you show her? I gave her 6 photographs. Were they all given to her simultaneously? Yes, they were. About how long did she spend looking at them? It wasn't more than a couple of minutes. Did she say anything to you while she was examining the pictures? No, she didn't. Did she select one of the pictures? She pointed to picture number 5, which is a picture of the defendant. To the best of your recollection, did she say anything when she made that identification? She just said that it was number 5. Did she say why it was number 5? Only that it looked like the person who followed her. Did she talk about any of the other pictures? She did not say a thing about the other pictures. Did you take a written statement from her at that time? I started to take her statement right after the photo identification. Was anyone else in the room at that time? Her mother and father were there too. Was anybody else in the room besides Dawn Page and her mother and father? When we were almost finished with the written statement, the young woman who had been with her arrived at the residence. Did she just arrive at the residence or was she already there but in another room? She just arrived. Do you remember why she was there? When I originally talked to Dawn Page to arrange this photo identification, I asked her to invite her friend over. I said that I wanted to speak to both of them. Was this young woman there when Dawn Page identified picture number 5? No, she wasn't. She arrived at the residence when we were finishing the written statement. The photographic array was lying on the table, and when she arrived, she walked over to it, pointed to picture number 5, and said, "That's the guy we saw in the mall." Until then, I didn't even know who she was. Did you say anything to her? Yes, I did. I asked her to wait in another room until I finished taking the statement. Then you finished taking the statement while this young woman was in the residence. Is that correct? That's correct. I finished taking the statement while she was in the residence, but not while she was present in the room. After you finished taking the written statement, did you talk to this young woman? That is correct. Was there anything that either you or Don Page said that would have prompted this young woman to pick out that particular photograph? Nothing that I'm aware of. It is your testimony that this young woman was not present while Don Page was examining this array of photographs. Is that correct? That's correct. It is also your testimony that this young woman was not present while you were taking a written statement from Don Page. Is that correct? We were almost at the end of the written statement when she arrived. Was this young woman in a position to know that Don Page had identified picture number 5? I don't believe so. You don't know how much she overheard, do you? She wasn't there when we started, and she was not there when Don Page identified the defendant. The photographs were on the table, weren't they? That is correct.